When did you first start to get an inkling that the internet was going to be a big part of your career and promotion and whatnot?
Probably MySpace. I would say the MySpace era, when I would go to somebody's page and I would see like one of my songs on their page, or getting messages from people on MySpace where if you put up a post and then you'd get, 50 replies from people, and I'm like, all right, this person's in Sacramento, this person's in Miami, this person's in Tokyo, and I'm like, I'm talking to fans that normally wouldn't be exposed to me, and I'm connecting with them, and I'm like, there's an upside to this for sure.
Yeah, going on MySpace and seeing the little red number next to your mailbox on there, that was like the first iteration of that feeling that we all have, that we will feel after this podcast, where you'll flip your phone and you'll see like, oh, I have 10 new notifications.
The endorphin.
Cool.
Yes. The endorphin rush.
That was the beginning of that
red.
feeling.
It was all about the red.
Yes.
Just seeing that red, and then when it was like all the notifications, you're like, oh shit, my MySpace is going off today.
And this fool had a fire song that he made for his MySpace.
Yeah.
Welcome to my MySpace page by Mac Lethal.
Yeah.
What's the other dude's name?
His name is Joe Good. So he's an artist.
He was raw too.
He was super raw. He quit rapping. He didn't like the dealing with people, but he's still a dear friend of mine, and he was he could have been one of the biggest rappers in my opinion, but he didn't want to do it. But I made a song like Welcome to my MySpace page, so that's the first thing people would hear. And it was all about it was all about doing little shit like that, because I'm like, I'm not signed to a label. I'm never going to have any budget behind me. Nobody's ever going to put up money to put out one of my records. So I got to think of something other than just making an album and putting it out. I got to think of like little angles that I can take. Getting on stage and destroying a rapper, making a song that is about my MySpace page. And even though it's a little corny, but there's a purpose to it, where some people get drawn into that and they're like, all right, I'm going to check out the rest of what he does. And I still have people that come to my shows now that heard of me on MySpace. So it's like building a lifelong connection with as many people as I can, and in my 40s still having a whole bunch of them still here has been and that's made millions of dollars doing it.
And even like you were talking about the Rhymesayers thing, that was pretty much, Adam, like the holy grail for everybody that was trying to do this little thing, and all the thousands of kids that made that holy pilgrimage to the Mecca of Cincinnati to, like Rhymesayers was like the Garden of Eden. That's like the highest thing you could possibly attain at that point, from our mind states. And you wind up doing that, and then like through that experience, it seemed like you were kind of like, at what point were you like, you know what, like I want to do my own thing, like being on a label's not working out, I'm gonna launch Black Clover, like how did that all happen?
So Rhymesayers, Atmosphere at the time, like they were turning down deals with Rick Rubin. Like every major label was trying to sign Atmosphere, and they're like, you were going to do it ourselves. And I loved the ethos of that, and I was just like, well, if they can do that, I want to do that. Independence has always been, I mean, you get it, like why answer to somebody else? So I knew that putting out an album with them would be a great opportunity, because I could tour with Atmosphere, I could tour with Brother Ali, people like that, and be exposed to thousands of people every night watching me perform my records. So I did that, and I put out an album with them, and they were great, but it felt like I was going at somebody else's pace. It felt like I was still answering to somebody. They made all the decisions, and I'm like, man, this internet thing is going to end up being the only tool you need. You can use money and production crews and all these different things, but eventually music is going to be a thing where all you have to do is upload something to the internet, and the people that want to listen to it are going to hear it, and they may share it with their friends. And I saw that early on, and I went, I don't even want to be on an indie label. A major label. I don't even want to be on a small or big indie label. I want to just put my own money into this, put out my own records, and build my own fan base on my own, even if it takes way longer or I reach less people. So that's when I started Black Clover, because I was like, it was a great experience. I appreciate Rhymesayers for everything they did for me, but I can do this all on my own.